and I attend the First Baptist Church of Glenarden in Maryland, led by Pastor John K. Jenkins Sr. And the message I have for you today is actually from a guest preacher, Priscilla Shire. She's a wonderful woman, and I suggest that you really look into her because she's great. But a lot of the time, we're always asking, how do we know we're on the right path? How do we know we're going towards what Jesus wants for us? How do we know that we're going towards His will and His purpose for our lives? And so this is what this sermon is about, especially during this time. How do we know we're making the right decisions, right? So basically, John chapter 20, verses 30 to 31 reads, "The disciples saw Jesus do many other miraculous signs in addition to the ones recorded in this book. But these are written so that you may continue to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing in Him, you will have life by the power of His name." So this means that John, in his book, chose the signs and the miraculous signs for a reason, because he believes that these will keep us believing or lead us towards the path of believing in Jesus Christ. So when we're driving on a road and we're trying to go towards a certain destination, we look at the signs. And the most important thing about signs, there's two important things about signs. One is signs don't stop us. They don't distract us. When we're driving on a road, we don't stop at a sign and take a picture of the signs that are pointing us in the right direction. We don't take a picture of exit 54 because we know that that's leading us in the right direction. There's nothing distracting about a sign. So that's really important that you remember that there's nothing distracting about signs. They should only keep you pointed in the right direction. But the other thing is that the first sign is the most important. The first sign tells you, you know you're going on that direction. You're headed in the right direction some way, somehow. You can't look for the second, third, fourth sign if you missed the first exit or missed the first sign, right? And so we're going to take a look at the first sign that John has written for us. And it's in John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Bear with me, but I'm going to read it. So it reads, "On the third day, there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the celebration. The wine supply ran out during the festivities, so Jesus' mother told him they have no more wine. 'Dear woman, that's not our problem,' Jesus replied. 'My time has not yet come.' But his mother told the servants, 'Do whatever he tells you.' Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars used for Jewish ceremonial washing. Each could hold 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told the servants, 'Fill the jars with water.' When the jars had been filled, he said, 'Now dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies.' So the servants followed his instructions. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew, he called the bridegroom over. 'A host always serves the best wine first,' he said. 'Then when everyone has had a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine, but you have kept the best until now.' This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him." So one thing to take is in verse 11, it says that this was the first sign, a miraculous sign that Jesus had revealed, and his disciples believed in him. His disciples are the people who walk with him and have a relationship with him, but they didn't believe in him until they saw this happen. And so it's really a challenge to you. Are you walking and talking with Christ without truly believing in him? And that's just something to think about for yourself. But so back to the sign, right? This is the first sign. What exactly is the first sign? God turning, or Jesus turning water into wine? Not exactly. So if you remember, or if you know, it said that the best wine is always served first, and then you serve the crappy wine at the end because everyone has had a lot to drink. But Jesus had the best wine. And that's really important because the first sign is when you have given your best and it doesn't feel like it's enough. So one thing is we always go through life and sometimes it's like you are literally giving your all and you're just so confused, like, why is this not working? And then finally we'll go to Jesus and be like, Jesus, help us. Well, that's how you know you're on the right path, is when you have given your best and you acknowledge that you cannot give anymore, but it's still not enough. Like, there's nothing else for you to give, but it's still not enough. And that is the first sign, because it's pointing you towards God. Because when you have given your all and it's not enough, who do you turn to? You turn to Jesus. And Jesus supplements with his best. And his best is greater than anything you can even imagine. Just like this wine, they gave their best, but Jesus's was better. And the other thing, the reason this is also really important is back then weddings were a long ceremony. Still are in some cultures, but it was a long ceremony. So you meticulously planned out how much wine you were going to have. So to run out of wine was an embarrassment. They had literally given their best wine and ran out. Like, that's embarrassing. However, Jesus showed up and did what he did best, which was show up and show us up, right? And so you just have to, that you're on the right path to what Jesus has for you when you have nothing but to lean on him. You have nowhere to go but to go to him to keep you on your path. And so that is something that's also really important, is because, like I said earlier, signs don't stop you, they keep you going. So when you have given your best, don't take it as a way to stop. Take it as a way of, I need to go to Christ. And Christ will always, always, always have more in store for you. And so I just really want you to take that as a sign of encouragement, because a lot of times we feel like we've given our all and we can't do anymore. It's a sign of encouragement that you're on the right path. God's just ready for you to invite him in and turn to him to do what he does best, right? And just right before I go, just in case you're like, okay, this is thinking a little too deep about the first sign and why John put this here. So the very first verse reads that on the third day there was a wedding celebration in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there. And it stops right there. And so this is really important, because on the third day, the wedding and Jesus' mother are the sign that John was intentional about his first sign that he wanted to show us. So on the third day, obviously, where else is that in the Bible? The third day, Jesus rose, right? So that's signifying Jesus' resurrection. A wedding, when Jesus comes back, they say that the Bible reads that our reunion with Christ will be like a wedding celebration. The bridegroom will be claiming his bride. And then Jesus' mother. The only other time Jesus' mother is mentioned in his gospel is at the cross for his crucifixion. But also Jesus' mother, it signifies his miraculous birth. And so in that first verse, it talks about all of the miracles of Jesus and what's so special about his story: his birth, his crucifixion, his resurrection, and his second coming. And so that's how intentional John was about putting this as the first sign. It was the first sign that made the disciples believe, and he believes that it's the first sign that will make us believe. And just remember that the biggest takeaway that you should take from this is, if you really have given your all, given your best, and it feels like you cannot do any more, perfect. You're in the sweet spot for you to invite Jesus in to whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, whatever you think is the right path, for him to come and swoop and just really do what he does best, for us to lean on him and for us to believe in him, as the intention is with this sign, because this is how Jesus reveals his glory, through his miracle. And so that's my encouragement to you. I pray that you all stay healthy and safe, and I love you all. Mwah.